my frightening friends. It's mid-October, and that means that most of us are trolling for some macabre movies, scary stories, and, very frightening video games? I was trying to do some alliteration there. Come on, give it to me. Anyway, I wanted to do something all out with this video where I dress up like a silly vampire and I do some awful acting and act like I got bit by a vampire and I turn into one and I have to play scary Atari 7800 games. But I realized I'm lacking the equipment and the talent to pull that off. But I had already bought the costume for $10 and I have to get my money's worth. Here I am, introing the video. But anyway, I'm dressed like a vampire. Ooh. 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 Okay, anyway, before you sit down and play the usual Halloween games of Castlevania, Silent Hill, Resident Evil, or even something on the NES like Monster Party, maybe give the Atari 7800 a try this year. I mean, after all, what could be scarier than a failed video game console? Ooh, spooky. Please don't click off the video.
Okay, so when you think of video game consoles with scary games, the last thing you might think of is Atari. Especially their older stuff, but I implore you, don't overlook the Atari 7800 Pro system. You might be surprised at how many on-theme games there are to play with. So I'm going to introduce you to more than just a couple that should get you in the Halloween spirit this year. So dim the lights, pull the blankets over your eyes, and tell yourself that everything is going to be alright while we take a look at Halloween-themed games on the Atari 7800. Let's get some of the obvious stuff and older stuff out of the way first. Of course, the Atari 7800 is a backwards compatible system, and that means we have access to the 2600 library as well, and there are a fair share of quote-unquote scary games on that system. And some do a pretty effective job at conveying a scary theme, despite the ages of the cartridges. You have the old standby Haunted House, which is the most basic of horror games. Avoid bats, ghosts, and spiders as you explore what is a haunted house in only the most vague of terms. But you can also get your fill running from Michael Myers and Halloween, which can be more intense than you initially give it credit for. Of course, you can take the role of the notorious Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game as you shred helpless victims in the most gruesome of ways. I mean, look at this game. It's terrifying. Such violence. Ooh. You can also prevent the monster of Frankenstein from walking the earth in the aptly titled Frankenstein's Monster, which is one of my personal favorites on the 2600. But I really want to focus on the 7800 proper, and let's just get Pac-Man and most of its hacks out of the way. Yeah, Pac-Man or one of the unlucky family members, such as Miss Pac-Man, Junior Pac-Man, etc., are perpetually being chased by ghosts, but these things are about as scary as lollipops covered in a tissue. That is to say, they aren't scary at all. Still, if you're too young to remember Pac-Man Fever, and haven't given any of these games a try, you might be intrigued to know that the game can be quite intense as you escape the cold, dead hands of these spirits. But whatever, it's just Pac-Man. There's two more games I want to get out of the way quickly. They are on theme, but there's not much to do with them. There was a Halloween card sent out to AtariAge members back in 2007, and it's more of a greeting card than anything else. Still, the large pumpkin on the screen is cool, and the music is a nice touch, especially given the historically horrifying sounds the 7800 produces. Spooky. There is also a 7800 game that's featured on an episode of Svengoolie, a late-night scary movie host from the Chicago area that currently haunts MeTV. Franco Dragon, developer of such gems as Roof Pooper, created a fast food hack for Svengoolie, and it was featured on his show. I saw that episode live, but it doesn't seem to be preserved anywhere that I can find. But MeTV and Svengoolie would not allow Franco Dragon to distribute or sell it, so essentially it's a ghost. But let's get on to the really spooky games that you can actually play. If you head over to the crypt that is AtariAge, you can find a thread that is called, "It's Dark Out There, I Better Bring a Torch," or something to that effect. From that mausoleum of a thread, you can download the excellent Monster Maze, which combines elements of Haunted House and Pac-Man, as you can only see a little bit around you at a time. You have to avoid foul monsters to collect all the items and eventually search for a key to escape to the next level. You'll fumble around dark forests, cemeteries, and more as you attempt to escape this monster maze, and it's a great game for Halloween. I wish the game would be finished and given a proper release, because this may be one of the best seasonal games on the 7800. Still, it's very much worth trying this October. Ghosts and Goblins is being worked on over at AtariAge, and this has been a long-time favorite for Halloween. This one seems to be a port of the Commodore 64 version, I think, but it plays great and it's easily recognizable as Ghosts and Goblins. And if the zombies and the scary environment don't spook you, then seeing Sir Arthur and his skivvies surely will. I hope this one isn't abandoned, as it's fantastic for Halloween and beyond on the Pro system. I'd love to see a finished version sometime down the road. Still, the first level should give you the creeps on Halloween. Dungeon Stalker is a homebrew that has been all the way finished for quite some time. And while it isn't intentionally Halloween themed, it fits the season perfectly. You play as an adventurer in a dungeon, attempting to collect treasure and defeat as many enemies as possible. You'll face off against bats, snakes, and spiders, complete with sticky webs and more. Your ammo is a sweet commodity, and one you want to keep track of as you fight off the night's terrible minions. And the boss monsters between levels can be especially scary as any movie slasher. That's for sure. A great game for the Halloween season, and one that can be enjoyed beyond the grave. Or, actually enjoyed beyond Halloween, I guess. I know I already mentioned Pac-Man and the hacks, but I absolutely have to mention Pac-Jason. I mean, it's Pac-Man where you play as a Jason Voorhees mask. It's incredible. And the ghosts are Freddy Krueger heads. The crosses in the corners are a nice touch, and it makes this game feel all the more gothic. This is a great game to play around Halloween, especially if you're one who doesn't like to let dead consoles rest in peace. And to finish the list off, I have to mention the only retail game to truly be horrifying on the 7800. The only one to feature vampires, zombies, wolves, floating skeletal ram's heads, and of course, undead optometrists. And that game is Midnight Mutants. You take the role of a young man who must rescue his grandfather, Grandpa Munster himself, Al Lewis, from the cruel and monstrous Dr. Evil. The themes of this game are 100% appropriate for October, and it's the best adventure game to come out during the Atari 7800's retail life. It's also the last game to be released on the console in North America, before the Atari 7800 was laid to rest in its grave. Why not resurrect your console for some ghoulish fun? I play Midnight Mutants at least once every October, and I think you should add it to your Halloween traditions as well.
Alright guys, and there you have it. Some spooky Halloween-themed games to haunt your Atari 7800 this Halloween season. My personal favorites are Haunted House, Frankenstein's Monster, Monster Maze, Pac-Jason, and of course, Midnight Mutants. Do you plan on playing any scary video games for the Halloween season? If so, which ones will you be braving? And did I forget to resurrect any spooky games on the Atari 7800? Well, of course, let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, boils and ghouls. And remember, old consoles should not be laid to rest, but resurrected for some Halloween frights. Oh, God, this costume's hot. I hope I got my $10 worth. All right, guys, thanks a lot. See you in the next one.